Hello from Ghana. This is day 4 for me. Today is Friday the 21st of November, which, if you don't know, is the day of the presentation of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And it's the day when Mary as a child is taken to the temple at Jerusalem and she's offered to God. And I know that because I was at Mass this morning, and that's what the Mass was about, which it was all in TB. Sorry, it's spelled T-B-T-I-W-I, but it's pronounced Chi. So it's not in Akan, which is the local language. This is another language, which I don't know any of. And the priest was Father Joseph, who is your sort of fire and brimstone type priest. He was quite shouty, and he's got a tooth missing at the front, and he was ringing a bell. He was quite full on. He was quite scary. The service was quite gospel. There was a lot of singing. There was a tambourine. The singing was amazing. It was kind of call and return. So he would sing, and then the parishioners would respond, and a lot of the parishioners sang in harmony, the men and the women, and everybody that was there. This was at the hospital because it's a Catholic hospital, and there was patients that were waiting to be seen. There were lots and lots of nurses and doctors and pharmacists and lab technicians that were all in this one room at the service. And it was very good. It only lasted about 20 minutes, and it was interesting just to see how they celebrate their day. Apparently Mass is every Friday, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get out of that. But it didn't last long. The singing was lovely. I mean, that was just gorgeous. And from there, I went out on 2 home visits with the mental health team. When they go out as the whole team. So there was 7 of us going out in a minibus, and the driver also came in on the consultation. And the consultation with the first family was held outside. So the family, they knew we were coming, so they put benches out for us, and we all sat down. So there was all of the mental health team, and then there was the patient and the patient's family. The man has an alcohol addiction, which is very difficult for the family to manage because they make hooch. That's how they earn money. They make their own alcohol and they sell it. It's made from the sap of a palm tree. There's a whole distillation, fermentation process involved. And this man is an addict, so it's hard for the whole family because that's their business. So there isn't really a solution there. But the patient's brother said that he too had been an addict and he'd given up alcohol. So there is some hope that the guy will come round. He didn't really take part in the consultation. It was more his mum and his dad and his brother. I did have a look at what they made, which it was in a water bottle. And I asked them if I could smell it, and they let me smell it. And it smells like something you would clear your drains with. I mean, the smell of it, I could feel my nostrils just almost getting singed because it's 100% proof. And I just imagine drinking it, your mouth would be absolutely on fire. And from there we went to see a man and his wife, and he had depression, and he looked depressed. He just looked flat. He was looking down. He didn't talk much. His wife did all the talking for him. This is a review of him. He's been on antidepressants. He was more concerned about a shoulder injury that he'd had that was flaring up, but he's not on any painkillers. So the mental health team are going to arrange for that to get assessed at the hospital by the orthopaedic team. And from there, I then went into the post-natal clinic. So that was all mums and babies, and that was lovely, because there was lots of very well babies. There was only one baby that they're all under 6 days at the midwives deal with, and after that it goes to public health. There was only one baby not doing very well, and I don't find out why, but that baby's bottle fed. So I think it might be to do with how the mum's making up the bottles, or whether the baby's got wind. Its stomach was quite swollen, distended, which I sort of noticed, but I didn't know whether that was just that particular baby. But the midwife said the baby was a bit constipated. So that was great. That was the only baby that wasn't doing well, and they're going to bring that baby back on Monday to review him. And then I was in what they call resus. It's not a main hospital, it's not a big teaching hospital, so their resus is kind of what we would probably call medical surgical assessment. So they've got patients in who are needing stabilised but not life-threatening. So they had 2 people there with a very high blood pressure and another man there with swelling or infection at the lining of his heart. So he was quite breathless. He was on oxygen, but he was quite breathless. His heart rate was up, his blood pressure was up, and he was sitting upright. He was a young guy and he was fit, he was slim. He didn't look unwell in any other way, but he looked distressed, the way that a breathless person looks. And I think that was about all. That kind of took me up until about 3 o'clock, and then I walked back. It's only 15 minutes back to the convent from the hospital, so I walked back because it's a nice day, and you can walk on the route that you walk back facing the traffic. You're under trees, so I didn't get sunburnt or anything. And then when I come back, I washed my hair, which dried. I don't know what it's going to be like, but I feel better for having washed it. A couple of the mental health nurses today were asked if they could touch my hair, which was fine. And then we started talking about hair products and straightening and relaxers and oils, and but they wanted to see what my hair felt like. And in terms of other things, when I was in resus, the one of the nurses said, you want to speak to a patient, and I said, well, I can't speak, I can. And they said, no, we'll teach you some things to ask a patient, and they can reply. So etisen is how are you, and mehoye is I'm fine. And I think that's great if the patient is actually fine, but if the patient then goes on to talk about symptoms, I'd be lost. But the nurse wanted to teach me things like, have you slept well? Have you eaten today? And I'm back here, and my hair feels a lot better because I've washed it. And tomorrow I'm going to Kumasi, which is the town that's almost an hour away. I need just a few bits and pieces that can't be bought locally. So I've got that to look forward to, and I've got a phone now that works in the convent, because the network, the SIM card I got before didn't work. So now I have a SIM card that works. So it's good, so I can be online in the evening, which is nice. And that's about everything.